right, welcome back to the LOAH pod here, where you have LOAH, Let's Have a Housewife, as your host and co-host, my special enlightened housewife, Christina McGavin. Welcome back, Christina.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be back. Been
Right,
a
it's
while,
been a
right?
while. Definitely. Definitely been a while. We do want to apologize for all interruptions on us progressing on this channel. Family duties always call first. Anyone in the roles of our lives has a true understanding to that. If you don't, then that's your own business and your own fault. So now, today is just going to be the New Year discussion. We might go over a few things and just get the chat in. And of course, at the end, like, subscribe, share, comment. Let me know what you guys think. So, what would you like to discuss for the new year today, Christina?
Oh gosh, Lo, where to begin? um, I was actually putting a lot of thought into this because I'm always trying to better myself and who I am. I'm always trying to better myself as a mother, as a wife. And I put a lot of thought into like, is there anything that I want to work on? And the first thing that came to my mind was just being bold, and just making sure that we're strong and making sure that that we're always grounded and rooted in truth. Um, but to be courageous, like that's something that's been really heavy on my heart over the last couple of days is, despite what anyone thinks, I'm going to always stand firmly in what I believe to be true because I know it's truth.
Right.
And so going into the new year, I really want to start content off of being bold, being courageous,
Right.
talking about things that no one really wants to say, but everybody wants to hear. I talk to so many different people, and so many people are like craving a genuine conversation rooted and grounded in truth and fundamentalism. And no one's really talking about the really heavy, hard topics aside from a couple conservatives.
Right.
So I'm glad that you spoke a little bit on our break and everything because I just want to kind of start it off by saying like we're coming back with, we're going to be really bold with this channel and we're going to be very courageous. I'm excited to go on this journey with you. Um,
as of
yeah,
I think
and
this is something that's been way long overdue. Way long overdue. Um, it was we did try to get this started last year, I think in the beginning, and then just you know a lot of the economy, I think, affected a lot of our moves as wives as well. So, um, one thing I think a lot of people don't understand is that what makes marriages strong is when you can work out situations when you are down and out. And I think we have both been in positions with our husbands working as hard as they do, where things don't go the way they plan, and we got to be there to help them to make sure that they can get back to focusing on everything else. Because a man can take on the pressure of lack of success of things happening or mistakes of others that's harming his decisions would weigh on them so much to where they would come home so frustrated. So my time, and I know you've had some time as well that we taken off, was to really focus and get our families into stronger paths, get over these hurdles of the economy, over issues. That could be anything. So I appreciate anybody that sticks around with us and wants to see this grow. If y'all do want to see this grow, definitely subscribe. Christina, if you do have an Instagram, please mention so where they can find you.
yeah, I'm just right now. I'm just what am I on Instagram? I'm Gavin right now. I don't think it's anything. Nothing crazy going on over there at the moment. Joey and myself, my husband and I are actually in sobriety together. So we do a lot of podcasting as well on the side on Facebook channels. Right now it's called Keep Your Foot on the Gas podcast. And so really we just talk about life on there. You don't even have to be an addict to come on over and join because we really just talk about real life things. I mean, I guess the only difference is like we're talking from a perspective of how a recovering addict is
Right.
going through these things in life opposed to someone that's considered normal. But aside from that, like we have a lot of really good people on that page that come on and talk about their life experiences. It's not our page, like we don't own it, but we were asked to come on and co-host it. So we have our own specific days where we come on and talk about sobriety life, being a couple, being married in sobriety, the challenges of that. So thank you for giving me the opportunity, Lo, to put that out there. Um, and like,
Definitely.
just like what you were saying about the break and everything, and just how it really is important for us to always ensure that like our families are first, and we're never going to apologize for that. Like if we have to take time off and attend or to tend to our families and our children and ensure that everything's going on and functioning and running smoothly in our within our homes, then like that is always going to be our our main motive, but this channel means a lot to both of us. And I really hope that everyone does stick around and watches us grow and that you support us. Um,
Yes.
so, with
Yes,
that
well
being
said.
said, what did you want to get into tonight? Anything specific?
Ooh, well, let's just start off with, I guess, what we have, because that'll get us going on. I found a few things. I don't know if anybody knows of these people. I don't. This would be my natural reaction, but they were recommended to me. I wanted to get a chance to watch it where y'all can have my honest opinion about it right here, right now, instead of me seeing it earlier. So I'm gonna go ahead and just run something, and we're gonna go ahead and discuss that from there.
Beautiful. Let's do it.
Hey kids, about Jeff and I having sex. And are you allowed to talk about that on Patreon? I will tell you about going no contact. So, you've decided to go no contact with your family? If you need a family, you can come hang out with me. Hi, love. Here are 3 ways to disrespect your elders.
Okay, so that didn't play as clear. Let me see if I can do it one more time.
It was
I think
pretty
I got
clear
the
on my end.
message though. It was good. Okay, because it
Yeah, it
was
was
like
pretty clear on
really,
my end.
it was really glitchy for me. But I don't know who this guy is. I've never heard of him. But coming across, coming across, obviously, it's this perverted man that wants to speak to our children. I've never heard of this no contact thing. No contact with parents. It's something new.
He's
Have you
very
heard
big
of
on
this,
this
Christina?
too. He's very big on the no contact. He talks about it all the time. All the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
No
I
contact with your
now
parents.
follow this guy and watch this guy because I want to see the kind of creep that's trying to lead our children into perversion. But
Mhm.
he talks about going no contact all the time, and the context of how he says things, he makes it as if it's so simple to do, and he makes it as if like it's detrimental to the people who he's speaking to. Like, you have to go no contact, or you're never going to be happy, or these people are always going to limit you, or you have the right to create your own family. Like, he's just a very sick man. So
Hmm.
I'm excited to see like your first response to him, because he's a creep
Yeah.
and he scares me.
You know, just look. You can't keep a straight face seeing a man like that. You can't. It's but yet it's not comical. Because this is a person who is targeting a group of people that are underage, and he wants to pretend that he is something of a friend to these underage kids.
Mhm.
There's I'm gonna get right to the point instead of trying to explain what I just saw, because it's gonna tick me off the more I try to hinder myself from what I'm actually thinking. This is the problem with our country now. This is why there's other countries that look at us as weak. This is why our children are failing. This is why marriage is the way it is. This is why our women are out here running amok. And honestly, it all comes down to the simple fact of this whole liberalization and freedoms of women running amok, going crazy, not having fathers in their home, to where you have a sick culture of men out here now that are looking for these particular types of families that are fatherless homes to target children. Pedophilia is going to be a new thing. They're no longer going to consider this something to be arrested for, something to be penalized for. They could consider it a sickness. And once a sickness is actually broadened to a larger spectrum of people, is going to be considered more of a culture. And now it's going to be allowed, aided and abetted. It's going to be something that people are going to have to live with. Your child at the age of 8 is going to have the right to get married to a man that's 30 years old, because now that is the thing. It's no longer punishments. When you don't punish bad behavior, nobody learns that there are bad things. If everything is allowed, then everybody's going to do what the hell they want to do. Nobody's going to restrict their lives and follow order if they're allowed to do whatever the hell they want to do.
Mhm.
And what we have done is allowed women to do whatever they wanted to do. And now our children are going to be allowed to do what they want to do. It trickles down. Where does it stop? Where does it stop? When is it going to get to? It has to get to full calamity where everything is just going crazy. People getting murdered, kids are going to get murdered, kids are going to get kidnapped, kids are going to get raped, women are going to get raped. It's just going to be all types of craziness going on for people to actually be like, oh man, you know what? We should have never took away the strong men. We should have never made society like this. I didn't know that society can be this harmful because while we were living in the times that it was the most prosperous, we just thought the whole world was supposed to be that way. And that's not reality. That is not reality. When you have men that are targeting children, this was always looked at as a crime. It's even a crime in religion. It's even a crime in many other cultures. Why is it that this country don't see it as a crime? Why do we have men like that in any type of advertisement that they think they could just wake up one day and become a woman? And it's
Mhm.
all because we allowed it. Not specifically me and you, of course, but women in general have allowed this because we honestly thought that we can actually do better without any form of structure, guidance, and discipline from the men that pretty much built this world for us. We don't even appreciate that. We don't even appreciate the simple fact that they were able to break their backs for us for it to be as convenient as it is.
You know, it just kind of
We were the thought behind it all. We were the thought behind it all. We were the ones probably to complain about walking, so they made cars. We were probably the one that was complaining about it's too dark, so they found light. We were the ones that probably complaining about sleeping on the ground, so they made beds. They actually made America and made any country, just men in general, has made society prosperous because they wanted to make us safer and us a lot more secure and us a lot more happier. They have literally broke their backs to make us happy. And what we do, we disregard their order, we disregard their law, we disregard their structure, we blame them for everything. We take over the country. We start to go ourselves in politics. We want to complain about everything in politics that we could do it better. And now we got young men out here running amok with dresses and makeup on, targeting our children because the men that we are pointing the fingers at are no longer in the homes to protect them.
Mhm.
And at first I found it funny because it's like, who is this clown? And now I'm kind of ticked off thinking about just the calamity that's coming from it. And us mothers, me and you are mothers of daughters.
Mhm.
They will have to kill me. I know they're going to have to try to kill my husband because he don't play that. And now we have to walk in fear with our children when our husbands are working in a grocery store where our children can get targeted by these sickos. And it's crazy. It's crazy that this has been allowed and we're looked at as the ones that are not making sense. That we're the ones that are hindering others and we're the ones that are, the hateful ones. Well, we want all women and children to be safe. We want all men to be men. We want society to be what it was because it worked. Every time you change something that has been working, it always falls into it being worse off than what it was. Because what it was before was working. There was no need for change. There was no need for anybody to be anything different than what it is. There's no need for new genders. There's no need for all of this crazy stuff that's coming across right now. No need for it. Why is it getting put in our schools? Why are you trying to indoctrinate our kids on it? What gives you the right to think that you can? Who told this man that he can actually have a platform to tell other people's kids that they need to be in no contact with their own parents?
Mhm.
And it's allowed. It's allowed because you can find the video. They ain't banning him. YouTube's not banning him. TikTok's not banning him. Instagram's not banning him. But if I say I believe all women don't need to be voting, I can get banned. This video probably get banned.
Mhm. I
And
was
it's just
gonna
my
say there's
opinion.
probably gonna come a point where we get banned.
It's gonna get to a point because I'm fed up. I'm fed up. I'm seriously fed up. But go ahead. What do you think on it?
It was just something that, like, when you were talking about women and how, like, we hated law and we hated order, and like because we do. It's just the first thing that came to my mind when you said that was Eve. It's like
Yes.
so deep rooted that it goes back to the very first woman. Like, we were just,
Yes.
like, we just always wanted to stray because women, for whatever reason, are empowered with this idea that we can do it better than men when we can't. Like, we were created from a man. We were taken from his rib. Like, we are a part of man. We need men to help us thrive. And as soon as women start accepting our roles, and as soon as we start accepting the natural order of things, then I think we could start to see a balance and everything coming back together. But our problem now is, like, the feminists. Where are the traditional feminists at when we see freak shows like this talking to our children? These women are over here clapping them on. Like, come on, come use our bathrooms. Come get
Right.
changed in our changing rooms. We love you. I don't want you anywhere near me. If you
Right.
had a penis walking into the women's restroom, I want no piece of that. I want no part of that. I got three little girls to protect. I'm a woman. No one with a logical mind wants that. And it's just
Right.
insane that he's literally talking like the idea that there's women out there that will literally pick their child up and slap them in front of that man and like literally force their child to listen to that, because I know that there's women out there that are the allies and that they're going to do whatever they can for these people. There's women that do that. You're sick. I just want to say that if you allow your child to sit there and watch content like that, and watch a man dressed in full makeup and a beard and try to say that he's a woman and he's a man and he's nothing all at once, like, you're psycho. And you know what? If that gets people to not like me because of what I'm saying, it is what it is, because we need to hear that. We need to bring back shaming. We need to bring back guilting people for their shameful behaviors. That's shameful. What he's doing is shameful. And the fact that he's literally being broadcasted on every single platform, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, he's everywhere. He's on YouTube. Like, you can't get rid of these people. And then it makes you wonder why. Like, we do know that there's an agenda. We talk about it all the time. For whatever reason, there's like this weird perverted sexual agenda going on right now.
Yeah.
Within it's been manifesting itself within the LGBT community. We know that, and that's just honest. And there's people within the LGBT community who will come right out and say that, and they no longer even identify with that crowd because they're like, listen, I don't stand with that. Like, I just wanted to marry the person that I loved. I didn't want to, and I've talked to plenty of people like that. Like, I don't advocate for this kid stuff. Like, this is a totally different thing. And it's like, why is that? My belief is that they really are trying to normalize like all of this sexual perversion that's going on. So when it does start really leaking down into the children, it's going to be normalized and you can't get in trouble for it. We're already seeing it. Like, we're literally already
Yeah.
seeing it happen. Not too long ago, there was a couple children that were found in an apartment with like, it was like a sex ring going on with like a homosexual couple and transgenders, and like the kids were found there, and people were murdered. Like, it was sick. Like, these things are really happening, they're really taking place, and they're being normalized, and nobody is doing anything about it. And the men that are
Right.
supposed to protect us are now dressing like that. They're now dousing themselves in everything feminine, and they're now one of those people that are harming our children. It's like we're living an upside down world.
It's, it's only the, the reason why society always falls to calamity when you have women in control is because we don't ever have the real understanding of danger. We have been protected all through centuries. We have been protected. Now, yeah, okay, there's times that the raping and pillaging Vikings, you want to get there, the selling, human trafficking, and all of that. Yeah, that's been going on for a very, very long time. So, yes, there's been times women were put in these very, very tough situations, but which is why there was a structure and order of a man coveting women because he had the duty to protect the women. And a man, another man, won't harm another home that's full of any type of dominance or structure from another man. The only thing a man fears is another man. A man don't fear us. A man don't fear children. What we fear is everything that we don't understand. And what we don't understand is today is that there is more of an opening of harm coming when we don't have that type of structure. There is more openings of our children being harmed. There's a door that opens. Evil is able to walk through that door when you're not shielded from masculinity. And that's the lack of understanding that we have in society. We honestly thought we could replace masculinity with money, and we were willing to sell ourselves and our children for it. And now we're wondering why that there's just so much evil running amok. It's like Pandora's box. It's like, I don't know if you ever heard the story about Pandora's box. When you get so curious, you were told that this is a box you're not supposed to touch. You do not open it. You keep that box closed, just like the apple. This is one thing, one rule, one rule. Women are given one rule. You got one rule. Don't touch the box. Don't open it. Don't eat the apple. You're not supposed to touch it. Stay away from it. Enjoy everything else here. One rule. And the curiosity that's in us somehow has to just take control over the one rule that we have set for us. And what does it do? It trickles of calamity down from there. Like it's crazy. It just, like you said, Eve, it makes you think of Eve. I recently speak on this with my husband on a regular basis about how that was the story that shows that women never listen. That we are constantly rebellious.
It's
We are
facts,
constantly
though.
rebellious, like,
It's
and
seriously
we
facts.
we it's like we gotta push it. We gotta move it a little bit. We gotta push the rule a little bit just to see what happens.
And
Curiosity killed the cat, I think is the phrase of just
and
the
it's
women's
almost
mind.
like when any sort of authority by any means tells us not to do something, we're like, now I
Gotta do
need to
it.
do it. Like, come on now. You
Just
had
gotta
one
do it.
job, Eve. Come on. You had one job, and it was just not to eat something. Um, but it's the truth, though. We are we're
Right.
rebellious, and I think that's why a lot of women are turning away from traditionalism too. Like the way how you and I are traditional housewives, and we take a lot of pride, and we take a lot of. I don't even like to use the word pride. We take a lot of honor in our place here in the home, and it's hard. Like it is extremely hard to do what we do. And I was just saying it's one of my girlfriends the other day, like, makes a lot of sense to me now why so many women are turning away from it because it is so much easier to work a 9 to 5. It is so much easier to just go to work and then when you come home, leave all of that at work. Like when you're a mom and when you're a wife and when you have responsibilities of other lives, it's a 24-hour job and it doesn't turn off. If
Right.
my kid gets up in the middle of the night, I'm up with them until they go back to bed. If someone's sick, I'm giving them the comfort that they need and I'm trying to help heal them. When someone needs me, I'm there. When my husband, we're always constantly being pulled in different directions and it's extremely difficult and it's challenging. And I think that women got lazy and they turned away from what they were designed to do. And so they think like, all right, I'm gonna go work and I'm gonna go date random men and I'm gonna do what I want to do. Like it all goes back to that the rebelliousness, like what you said, it really does. It's kind of like making my head spin a little bit because it's really all kind of clicking for me. Like women really are like by our fallen nature, we really don't like authority rules. We like to rebel. Most women like to be deceptive because they
Yeah.
get some kind of thrill off of it, especially when it comes to men. And I only know this because I used to be one of those people. Like I used to like knowing that a man liked me, stringing him on for no reason, and then just it was like a power thing when I was in that sick, twisted mind like mentality. And I'm so grateful that God got me out of that. And he gave me an amazing husband and 3 beautiful kids because I can't imagine living my life like that now.
Right.
I love how our conversations can start here and just end all the way over here somewhere. Like
Right.
we really could just go off on so many different things. But we're hitting a lot of interesting topics, which I think is important to discuss, especially when it comes down to like the underlying issues within women, you know?
Right. And I thank you for that. How you look at your role in the house is definitely how I look at my role in this house. And it's crazy. People think, because you're a housewife that you really don't have anything to do. And me and you have been the most busiest where we can't even grow a damn channel. So,
Seriously. We don't
so
even talk sometimes. I would love
we
to
don't even
talk
get
to you
chance
every
to
day. We just can't.
I swear to you. I swear. I swear. Like I'm a homeschooler. I'm a homeschooled housewife, and I also, being my husband, he has 3 different things going on. So within these 3 different things of companies and everything that he's doing, the one person he's calling on is me to help him out with that. He's not calling anybody else on. So my schedule is solely wrapped around this man. Everything, this household, everything. I literally will be busier than most people that's at a job site and haven't left home. Because our scheduling and how he is building our lives is my whole being is wrapped around that. And the problem with women is that they look at that as it's something to be sad or it's
Ashamed of
depressing or
almost.
oppressive, to be ashamed. Why is it such a bad thing to literally take your life and your being and solely wrap it around your whole design of being for a man and your children?
Mm.
Honestly, that is exactly what we were made to be. There was something I listened to recently when a woman was trying to say, okay, we are the prize as women because when God created man, he gifted Adam Eve. And being that Eve was the gift, that we are the gifts, we are the ones that are the prize. Eve was the Adam's reward. Okay, everybody who reads the Bible wants to perceive it their own ways. I can get why she comes to that conclusion. But
Mm.
why did God give Adam all of the strenuous parts of life and us the easiest parts? What do you have to do to win a reward? What do you have to do to actually be successful with something? You have to go through a strife. The ones that buckle down and go through the most and actually get out of the most difficult things have more of a rewarding lifestyle. And what that is the gift that God had given man was him to be able to replicate himself once he gets that type of success. And there's only one being that I'm going to make for you to be able to do that. For you to be able to do that, I have to make another being for you that you can replicate yourself with. You continue on with my guidance and my law and my order, and you walk along and follow me as your creator. The rewards you will reap from all your hardships and everything that you're doing is to be able to replicate you. We are that person that helps the man replicate himself. We're not the actual gift. His children is his gift. That's the reward he gets. I'm able to replicate myself. And he has to be part of that. We can't give the children by ourselves because if then that will it will probably make more sense if we was able to create the children just like we were some genies after the man's done some good. But no, we also need him as well. His reward was him being able to spread his seed, be fruitful, and multiply. Follow my order, be fruitful and multiply. And I created something here for you that you're able to do that with. Now you do have to protect that because if you don't protect this being that I'm giving you, you won't be able to produce. You won't be able to create your dynasty. You won't be able to have your name spoken in history. And that's a lot of what the men are driven to do is to leave their carbon footprint, have their legacy be spoken about through their children. That's the rewarding part. It's not, and that's they understand that. They understand that that's what it takes to have a woman. Okay, to have a woman, I gotta protect her. She's gonna carry my child. I gotta make sure her and the children are going to be okay at all times, at all things. And my reward is to be able to see that live on. All my hardships live on. My children are living off of all my hard work and effort that I've put in. And the person that was able to carry them for me looks at me as the God of the creator of being able to do this for them as I follow my God. And it's just that's kind of how I see it. I don't look at us women, and people constantly want to tell me all the time in comments they believe I hate women. I hate women. I'm a woman myself, but supposedly I hate women. And I'm not trying to denounce the beauty of what a woman is. I'm not trying to say that we're just worthless, we're just breeders, and that's it. That's not what I'm saying. But the beauty of us is that we're able to do that for them. That we're able to let their legacy live on, that we can be a part of their legacy, that we can actually take their genes and create little ones of them, and they can solely have their DNA pushed forth into society with the knowledge that they've been given, the knowledge that they had to push down to us, so we could push it down on our children. That's a beautiful thing.
Mhm.
So yeah, I would love to wrap my soul being around what my husband is doing and around everything he wants me to do because his reward is everything that he is doing is being instilled in me to teach on to those children. And he can die as a happy man later on in life that everything that he put his mind to has been absorbed, is going to be used, is going to continue to be used. His legacy is going to be out there and he leaves his carbon footprint. He will always be remembered because his kids are there. That's a beautiful thing. That's why God gave them a little more of a stressing life because they needed more. Men had to be taught, men had to know hardships to teach their children that. They had to give it to us, the knowledge, so we can pass it on to them. I swear up and down I was an airhead before I met mine. I swear up and down on that. He said that I was different because I had to be receptive to his knowledge. And there's a lot of women out here that are not even receptive to even having just a regular date today. That they can't even have a conversations like the one me and him was having on our dates. And I see the difference in that now, but honestly didn't think there was a difference. And being that all the information that he's given me over these years, I'm able to instill now into a podcast. I'm able to even instill into our daughter. I'm able to even help out with our sons. I'm able to see everything that he has been accumulating over the years and all his hard work and effort is growing and it's going to continuously grow. His story, his story. All men want to be a part of that. We are capable of hoping that. That is a great power. That is a great power. There is nothing wrong with that. But women, I don't know what it is about this envy and jealousy that we have with men now that we think that we no longer need that. And now this world is the way it is because we honestly think we know everything we need to know now. We know all the evils that's out here already, so we don't no longer fear the world. Yet we've created more evil than that was necessary. Now we got all different types of groups of men to even fear now. It's not just the psycho burglar. It's not just the serial killer anymore. Now you got all different types of weirdos out here now because we honestly thought we understood it all. We no longer need to be taught by man. We no longer need to carry on his knowledge. We could do it ourselves. It's crazy. This
You know,
whole modernized idea of independence in women. What feminism failed to tell women is that it's a dead end. That's a dead end road. When you honestly give so much ego and attention to someone who just thrives off of that with no hardships and don't have to bust their back for it, there's no more teaching. There's no more information going to be passed down because they think they know everything already. Everybody's told them that they're right. Everybody told them that they know it all. Now that they can finance their own lifestyles, they think they know more. And the real teachers out here are getting pushed away. And now we're aiding the criminals that are putting them up because we think that what we need to fear is no longer fearful.
um,
We got to stop this.
what was I going to
It
say?
only, these only cycles develop when women think that there's nothing more to fear. When we think that we know everything. Oh, there's no man out here that's going to harm children. Oh, he's really a woman now. He really feels that way. Oh, there's nothing wrong with not having open borders. No, not at all. Because everybody's good. Everybody's okay. Now that the world is convenient, now that the world is all soft and cushiony, there's no one that's a threat because we know now. We know all the information. We're in politics, we're voting, we're doing everything. So, yeah, we got all the answers. There's really no true harm. And now, look, you got every sinister being that can exist out here in this world targeting children. But go ahead. I'm sorry. You can go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like, I think one of the main reasons why so many women don't fear these things is because they themselves helped create it. So it's like, why would they fear it when they sat there and reeled it all in?
Right.
Like that's exactly what they did. So it's like it makes a lot of sense to me why they don't fear these things and why these things, instead of fearing it or instead of it raising red flags for them. Like for me, if I see a man go into the bathroom, I'm like, all right, red flag. Like for these women, they don't even think anymore. And it's like it makes a lot of sense why a lot of women are on OnlyFans selling their bodies. That's all they have to offer
Right.
is their bodies. They don't have
Yeah.
they don't have a brain anymore to offer. And I know that sounds harsh, but listen, if you had more to offer than just your body, then you would be doing that. Like, no woman in their
Right.
right mind is going to degrade themselves to the extent of going online and allowing men to profit off of you. Like
Hmm.
they're sending you money for your body, and you hate men, but yet you're letting them perceive you as an object, not you. I'm talking in a more generalized term, but so like it just makes a lot of sense. While all these women, there's nothing to them. They're all just robots. There's literally
Yeah,
nothing.
mindless bots. That's what I
Yeah,
call them, mindless bots,
they
mindless
are. They're
bots.
just walking zombies. Like they have no mind of their own. They just it's like an echo chamber with these women. They just continuously repeat what they hear, what they think is cool, and what they hear everyone else saying. And then they go on their little OnlyFans page and get their money, which let's be real, most of them aren't even making $15 an hour. So really they're like selling their bodies on the internet for nothing at all, which is it's not funny. It's horrible. Like my heart breaks for a woman who sits there and thinks like, all right, rather than use the brain that God gave me or rather than use any kind of information that anybody has instilled in me, I'm going to go on the internet instead and I'm going to allow strangers to sit there and do gross things to pictures of my body or to videos or like that's devastating to me. Like that's not funny. It's not something that I like to sit and mock, but it's like so many people are doing it and they're the
Right.
problem. And it's the very
Yeah.
same people doing that. They're the same people allowing these perverted weirdos to come into our schools and our libraries and our bathrooms and our government. Like they're literally like we have laws that are protecting this now. Like perversion and people that target children and it's being protected now. Like we have clinics that will bring in children and mutilate their little healthy bodies all for money. And maybe all these problems that we're looking at now, a lot of it makes sense when we say that it all stemmed from the feminist movement. Everything came, it was like the opening the floodgates when women decided that we were no longer needed at home and we were better doing what men were doing. Like you guys ruined it for everybody. But no, in
Yep.
all seriousness, they did. Like they really brought in the floodgates because from the feminist movement, we saw the sex revolution. From the sex revolution, we saw all these other things. You know,
Mm.
it was just, it's like, where do you even begin to combat that? I mean, I guess you start somewhere, you know, you start by doing what we're doing. The reason why we feel so strongly about this is because I could have been so easily one of those women, you know, if my husband had come in and
Yes.
take me in when he did. My husband, let me just put this out there. And if this makes myself look bad, I'm willing to do that because I know that I'm not this person anymore. If my husband didn't come and intervene in my life when he did, I would probably not even be a quarter of the woman that I am right now. Like if he didn't,
Right.
he had no business. Like that's the thing that to this day that still like baffles me. Right? Is like he had no business being with a woman like me. Like he had my husband had it all together. Like he had an amazing career. He had his own place. He was, you know, he was in AA. Like he had no business being around a person like me. And I just remember him saying, like, there's just something about you. Like, if only you could see yourself the way that I look at you, like you would get it.
Right.
I like to say that I get it now because I just feel like that would be a little like, you know. But I understand what he meant in the sense that like I had a mind that was willing to listen and learn, even when I wasn't under that realization yet. And it took a lot, like it took a lot of work, but he's helped me grow into like such an amazing person. And like I would not be the mom or the wife or just the woman that I am today without his influence. Um, and that's why I just wish that women would stop trying to find their own identities without giving men credit. Like we are not the reason why the world is running. Like let's take credit where it's due and give the men their credit too. We would be nothing without them. The world would
Amen
be
to
nothing
that.
without men.
You're right. I love that you said that because I about you, your husband, how he made you who you are now. I truly understand that because, you know, when I met, I don't like to talk about this situation much, but hey, I'm going ahead and I'm open up to it a little bit. But before I met my husband, I was going through some bad times. I had a big alcohol problem. And I never had friends or group girls, friends or anything like that, but I did have siblings. And I had a sister that I kind of latched onto due to uh, us losing our parents at a young age. We were split up into different homes, foster and all of this stuff like that. There's been like I came from a two-parent home, and then there's some foster things that happened in my life as well. And then there was this split of siblings where I didn't see my siblings again until I was in my 20s. We were all in different homes and different situations. So when we finally rekindled and got a chance to see each other again, we were all adults and we just all wanted to just talk about, things that we used to um, do when we were kids because we haven't seen each other in forever. I was 12 years old. So the last time I seen them, didn't chance to see them until I was like 22. And, so I latched onto them, and my sister, who's not recently, but she is deceased. Um, she had um, she had X'd herself out due to a lot of decisions that she has made. I think it wore on her, and that you know her past or her aging, anything that I think that I know that she's involved herself with. I think it probably stuck to her, and at the time that this happened, I was with my husband, I think, for this was about a few years now, so maybe 3 years or a little less. But I always started to blame myself on her making that decision because it was like a couple of years after leaving. She always wanted me to be the sibling that would stick around with all her nonsense and stick by her side with all the bad decisions. But I wanted the route that I'm in now. And I knew if I was to follow her route, that I was not going to make it here. So I took honestly the first chance I got. I met my husband. I was like, he's him, I'm out. That's love my life. I'm out. I'm sorry, sis. I love you, and this is as far as it's gonna go for me. I don't wanna wind up in situations that you constantly like to put yourself in. And being that she wound up doing that a few years later, I always started to blame myself. And I was like, dang, but it made me realize that, you know, what she lived, how she lived, is a lot like how a lot of our women are living, and the bad decisions, the childless father issues with their own children or not knowing who their fathers are and all of this stuff where you get to an age where it's going to start affecting you somewhere. And then your way out is either supposedly settling, which I don't think is exactly what women do. I don't think women ever settle. But get in a relationship that you just are, you feel like you have to accept, or Xing yourself out. And her route out, I fear, is going to be a lot of other women's route out of their own, you know, trauma, which is one of the reasons why my husband actually pushed me into trying to do a channel, because he was like, you've experienced some things that you think that I think you could talk about. You know, what happened to your family member is definitely something that could happen to a lot of other women out here on the decisions that they made. You've seen firsthand. And when you started to see that things were not supposed to be that way, you're not supposed to be out in this world like this, you're supposed to be for something better. You met me when you started to realize that, mid-20s, hey, this is, I can't do this, this drinking thing all the time. This is craziness and all of this partying, going hoorah. I'm sick of it. I don't want to be part of this. And got in a relationship, and even though that I still had an issue with alcohol, because after hearing her, what she did to herself, definitely pushed me into drinking more. I had to get right, because now I'm a mother. And I started to prioritize my motherhood and started to prioritize my marriage way more than anything else, because I wanted to be better than that. I did not want to make those mistakes. And I'm at a point where I don't want to see any other women make that mistake, because I think that's the route a lot of women are gonna go. Misery definitely loves company, and my older sibling did have that type of misery, and she wanted me to wing her. She wanted the wing to pull me down as well with her. I didn't allow it. Sometimes to get in the relationships that you want, you gotta let certain people go, and you can't harbor on their decisions, even if you feel like that they wouldn't have done it if you were there. You just can't. Everybody's an adult, and you have to understand that once you take on the responsibility of being a mother and being a wife, that is your priority. That is your main focus. And you work your butt off to make that more prosperous. And later you can associate with others. Because then that's when you start really seeing the differences of people. When you actually let go of the ones that are troublesome, and they all of a sudden they don't like you anymore because you made a better decision with your life and everything like that. You start to see certain things, and then you're like, okay, well, this was actually a cutoff that I needed to do. And a lot of women today don't realize the type of circles they're in, don't realize the type of environments that they're allowing themselves to be in, because they think that youth right now is just for fun, and it's not. This is the you are only young for a short amount of time, and then you are old for the rest of your life. You just get older. You only got what, 10 years pretty much to really make good decisions as a woman. You got 10 years from 18 to 28 is when the time you really need to be focused on your family. If you use those years to be focused with friends or any type of sister bonds or sister girl sisterhoods, and then by the time you get in your 30s, you are nowhere where you want to be, and now you're complaining that you're thinking that it's just somebody else's fault and it's not yours. You're not going to get this type of lifestyle me or you are in, because now it's too late. It really is too late. It might hurt a few people's feelings there's that you're making this decision, but there's nothing wrong with you prioritizing family and your husband first. There's nothing wrong with that. And I honestly think that if I didn't meet my husband in that time frame, that I would be a lost soul as well. I think that us women do have a weakness to want to, being that we're socially create, like we're social beings. We need a social type of bond. We always like going to want to have a best friend, that female best friend, or some type of girl sisterhood within us. That's just how we are. But that can always come later. That can always come later, because that's what we are. You're always just how I met you. There's been years that I was in straight solitude, and it was like,
Same.
okay, I'm not, I had to let people go to focus on my family. And now look, it's the right ones that's always going to come along. The ones that you actually need to be in your circle, be in your area, that gives off the good energy that you need, that are family focused, that are oriented around their children, that are in the right roles that you want your children to be around. Y'all gotta also understand that you gotta be around women who has kids, who you want your kids to be around. If you're with women who has kids and they're doing all types of crazy stuff, and deep down inside, you're looking at them like, okay, I want my daughter to be that way. Obviously, that's not somebody you really need to be friends with. we have to make better decisions in the type of sister bonds that we have. And of course, mine was blood, but still, sometimes blood is not as thick as you think
Mhm.
because they hinder you the most because of that tie. They can definitely hinder you the most. I think everybody has a family member that might not be the family member that you want to see on a regular, but you know that you're kind of feel entitled to at least keep speaking to them because of that blood tie. And I think that we hold on a lot to that too. I think family is everything when it's the family you've created for yourself. When
Mm.
it's you married to your husband and then y'all having those children, those bonds. And then you want to make bonds with other families that have similar lines and similar guidelines and structure and order like yours. Those are the perfect families to be. That's where you have the little cookouts, the neighbor cookouts, stuff like that. You start to get to know people like that because then these children grow up with those types of kids too. And now you got a culture. And that culture turns into a tradition. And then it constantly gets passed on. It constantly gets like that. You're supposed to let the ones that block those types of traditions, family traditions, they're supposed to fade away. They are. But with all of this, the mindsets of women out here today that just thrive off of toxicity and bad behavior and stuff like that, they're never going to be able to be great wives or great mothers. They're not going to make those family bonds that me and you are making, that other families like us are making, because they're way too focused on just the fun of things. And it's
Themselves.
in themselves. It's a sad thing. I really didn't want to talk about that story, but it kind of what pushed me into wanting to help save other women and save children. I'm I'm whining, I'm winging off of trying to save women, and I'm starting to focus more on the children because you're not going to be able to change a lot of women's minds. No matter you could be talking to them all the time about this, and you'll be talking to a brick wall. But there's a lot of children that are at risk right now due to a lot of these decisions of women generations before us and a generation before them, and they have no idea what's coming. They have no idea they're not even in a structure of understanding. So these
Mm.
recordings, these videos are actually going to be able to be some form of knowledge of kids that want to understand what it's like, because I honestly think what me and you are is going to be so foreign. The housewife role and the traditional thing is going to be erased a little bit. I think it's going to be so weird if you was even hear it. My daughter won't ever understand what single motherhood is because she's not being raised by one.
Mm.
So when she hears kids talk about, I don't have a dad, she's like, how is that possible? It's like weird. With other kids, it's going to be the other way around. Wait a minute, what? You sure you had a dad? Like that's weird. So it's like I think that's the way things are going in society. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's definitely like I don't even want to say steering in that direction. I mean, more like on that plane, like on our way there, you know.
Mm,
Um, it's the truth, like maybe you're right, and like just focusing on the upcoming generations rather than just focus on, and anyone who wants to change and who is willing to change and who finds this content, like of course, listen, they're gonna listen, but I don't know if the majority of people even would, because as soon as these people who are so stuck in that mentality of, all about me, they're going to listen to this content and they're just going to laugh at it. Like, let's just be serious. That's just what they're going to do because they can't comprehend what we're even talking about. And, you were talking about earlier, I kind of wanted to touch on this. Um, you were talking about like how you had to cut certain people off. I had to do that too. And let me say this is like that was probably one of the most beautiful processes of my life was like having to cut almost everybody that I knew off because they weren't good for me. And then my husband and I moved into a completely different area and I didn't know anybody. And I found such peace in that. Like, I literally would have to pull up the Google map just to get to the food store. Like, I loved it. And I loved the fact that I was always like isolated from everybody that I thought I ever knew. Like, it sounds crazy, but being away from all that environment that really kept me down and being in an environment that really helped build me up, it was just me and my husband and my kids, and that's why. Like, it gave me the ability to be isolated from all of those people that were causing, I caused the negativity in my life, but I was allowing them to influence me too. So I can't sit here and say those people were no, it was all me, my decision making, but I was hanging out with people that I had no business being around because I was better than that. And so when I moved and I was in this isolated state, I found such peace in it because I was able to really figure out like who exactly it is that I wanted to be. And Like when my husband and I met, the reason why I'm saying all these things is because it took me quite some time to be the person that I am now, and I'm still not where I want to be. I met my husband when I was 23. I'm 31 now. So like within all of those years, he built me up and he's shown me things and he's taught me things and we built a family together and my children have taught me things. Like I'm still young, I'm 31, but I'm not 23 anymore. So basically what I'm saying is it took all those years just to attain this. So like people that are 31 and they don't have any of this and they're just starting out, like I hate to say, but women, as women, we really do have a biological like ticking clock. Uh and like so we started young. Like I started young, I know you started young. Many women now, a lot of women are starting off later in life, like in their mid 30s, and they pretty much already lost their shot at a chance with kids if they want to do it naturally. Because what, like, doesn't the chances of your pregnancy like skyrocket of it being like a high risk pregnancy at like it's like what age 35 or something like that?
Yeah, I recently heard, well, there was something I read about, and then I heard it as well that by the time you're 30, you lose about 30% of your fertility. And then
Wow.
by the time that you're at 40, it's so diminished to where it's about less than 10, I think they said. So
Wow.
that's why 40-year-olds, it's high risk to get pregnant at 40 because you don't really have that much eggs. And the video I also watched, she was explaining that us women were born with the amount of eggs that we're always going to have for eternity, and then they just decrease as we get older. As in men, they constantly can develop their count. And so if our bodies scientifically and biology explains that, okay, well, it's from birth, and then you have this amount of fertility, and then as you age, it gets you lose it percentage by percentage, then you do have only a small window to start, capitalizing on your fertility and having children. And there's a good understanding in that, but what has happened is that once fathers gets removed out of homes, you have children having children. And now you have a bunch of young women. I mean, my mother is an example as well. She had my first sibling at the age of 16. I was born when she was 22. Thankfully, we're all from the same mother, same father, which is even rare today. All of us, I got a big family, I got a bunch of siblings, and we're all from the same mother, same father. So, like generations before us were having, intercourse super early, and they had populated generations when they weren't even ready to be parents. They weren't even ready to actually take on these roles, and they didn't know how to raise these children, and these children start having the same types of outcomes where they're having children. And now we have a huge population of people not knowing what to do when they have kids now, to where we're at a point where people don't even want them because they think it's too difficult, because generations before us was not taught that, yeah, okay, it's in your youth, you have a short time, but your parents need to be teaching you how to be a mother, how to be a wife. So that way, once you get 18, 20 years old and you prioritize that, you can place the exact knowledge into your children. It trickles down. So even though that is a major fact, it's also scary that, yeah, you have better eggs in your youth, but we're not having the right people as well use those eggs. And that is the whole idiocracy that we have right now. We have a degenerate type of society because everybody was on Freaknik and all of this. The 70s was love each other and let's all mate in the woods and stuff. And then, before,
Yeah, the little hippie bands.
it's just, you know, even
Let's all
abortion.
mate in the woods, you said.
That's, that's how I
So
look at
funny because it's so true. They got little tents and they're like, "Let's go."
all of these concerts of love and peace and no war.
Yeah, like
And she has
thousands
three
upon
boyfriends.
thousands of people just like harboring on top of each other. Ugh.
And it's ridiculous. So like, I what really is the main the dire what is the detriment to not the detriment, I'm probably using that word wrong. What is needed most is the children that's going to be coming to know what the value is on prioritizing the role of a mother and wife first. Have to prioritize that in your youth. we do have to raise our daughters and our sons to be husbands and wives. You know, we have to raise our sons to be able to take on anything. They should not be weak at all. They should not think that they are wrong inside their own bodies. That should not be molded and nurtured in any form or fashion in any type of boy. They need to be the strongest thing out here because they are the ones that everybody depend on. We literally, women and children depend on men. And women need to understand that the value we have is being the second in command, the noble wife in the Bible, you know, was mentioned on how beautiful it is to have a noble wife. Even though that, you know, there's some scriptures that says on how bad women are, they it spoke on the noble wife role. A wise man and noble wife is a very good thing to read about, and how we hold the value of nurturing these children into what they're supposed to be, them to have an understanding of these gender roles. So that way, when they're ready, when they have the prime eggs and the prime sperm that they need to do children, they know what to do. And we start to better society that way. We have a better education and tradition of children. But we, decades before us, just had children. Children just having children. Children just having children, and they were just doing it all up. Baby boomers, they call them, and the ones before them. And it's just like nobody was educated on the actual roles of things. We have the Black community um, being put into, not put because it's always a choice, but we had a Black community that's actually was way more focused on the finance of things instead of the family things, that they chose to remove the man out of the home just to get the financial things. And then they didn't teach the little girls on how to, on chastity. And then you have the other cultures that just was out having fun and then, you know, doing whatever they wanted to do. And it's just like nobody was really focused on what was supposed to make things more prosperous. There is a structure and order to things to make life more successful. There is discipline that's involved to make life more prosperous. You can't not have everything your way and expect everything to just be okay. That's not how things work. And this is what we have. We have a society that everybody thinks everything's supposed to be their way. This is the most selfish society that we have ever been in, yet it's the most gayest society as well. And it's crazy. Now that we have the understanding that the value of women's youth is in this certain amount of years, we have to now teach them that you need to be educated on when to use that value. You need to be educated on who to use that value with. You have to have a good understanding of that before you decide to have
Sorry, I got a
to
phone call.
replicate. It's okay. Before you decide to
Oh no.
replicate that man, is he worth being replicated? Do you want to have children look up to him? But everybody thinks it's okay now to just have children and think about that later and wonder why we have kids that have no clue on what the heck to do. We have a lazy society. We have kids addicted to social media, kids addicted to drugs, kids addicted to everything but their own homes, ready to leave homes, don't have homes. And it's like we gave up a long, long time ago on our roles. We gave up, and what's crazy is I didn't even know that there was an issue, that was something that was given up, because I come from a two-parent home before before them dying and having to be put in foster. I had a mother and father, you know, so um I never seen that there was something that was missing, that this wasn't normal. I used to be made fun of when I was younger, when I told them that when me and my siblings got together and we would say that we're from the same mother and same father. Everybody will always ask us that. Yeah, I can't be from the same mom, same dad. Like, how normal is it where you can't believe that we're all from the same mother, same father? That it's been that normal that when you say you got 6 or 7 siblings, they're like, okay, how many baby moms? Like, what? No, my mom birthed all of us. What are you what are you even talking about? No, that's I'm sorry, we're not part of that. I appreciate my parents for sticking it out, because they were actually from a time frame where the 60s, you know, were doing their thing. And they had issues. My family wasn't perfect. My dad nor my mother was perfect. That is for sure. But them sticking together is where I hold more valuable. And it stuck with me to where I didn't realize that there was a problem. But you can see how all the other kids out here already understand that mommy's my hero, daddy's the villain, or all men are villain. You know, mommies are the ones you're supposed to look up to, because normally the child's always left with the mom 90% of the time anyway. Where my child's going to feel like an outcast because she has both parents. And it's crazy. It's just like people don't realize, it's so sad that we've gotten to a point today where that is okay. where it's fine to just have children and think about everything else later because you want to prioritize what makes children than actually what it does to raise children. Everybody's okay having fun making them, but then they draw the line at what it takes to raise them before making them. And it's like, we got a lot of stuff backwards. We live in a backwards society. It's like, it's crazy. Go ahead, Christina. I'll go
No,
on.
I mean everything you said was it's always on point. You have a very stoic way of saying things. I always appreciate that
Sorry,
about you.
I be ranting too much sometimes because my mind, I got so much in my head and I want to
No,
get
but you know
out.
what? It's a beautiful thing because not many people can sit here and dissect something the way that you do. So I love it. I love when you go off on your thing. I don't even like to call them rants because it's all informative and it's all things that people need to hear. Also, I want to
Yeah.
preface everything else by saying I'm in my husband's office and it's filled to the brim with Christmas decorations. So if anyone's like wondering why my thing's so messy, it's because I took all my decorations down today. Okay, but
I still have to, but I'm enjoying your shirt. I'm not even worried about the dog. Your
look at
shirt
that
is
one.
awesome.
Yeah. It's all I wear. It's ridiculous. I'm always wearing some kind of America. I love my country. You know, I really do.
Me too. You would be shocked that I have like memorabilia. I have like a museum in my
Yeah.
house.
All I mean, you know what though? Like the people that I center myself around in the same way. So it's like nobody looks at me funny. Nobody thinks it's weird because like my circle are all the same way, and that kind of correlates with what you were saying about like it's so extremely important for us, especially as mothers. Sorry, my phone, like everybody's deciding to text me right now. I literally have like three people texting me and I don't know why. Um, as mothers, like we have an extreme responsibility of ensuring that the people that we allow to surround our children are like-minded with us. Like I don't trust I live in a very liberal town. I don't trust my kids going over anybody's house here. And I'm just, I don't even feel sorry for saying that. It's just because our morals and our values just they're not even close in alignment. Like they're just so far off on the spectrum and it's like why would I in order to protect my kids, I can't let them go places where like they're having, certain flags hanging out front, and like where they're constantly talking about specific things to their children that I don't approve of right now. Um, so like I ensure that like the people that I surround myself with, like those are the kids that my children are hanging out with. I'm like very like, I'm never going to be like one of those overbearing mothers that are constantly on my kids' butt because I feel like kids do need to eventually have a time. Like, there's a time and a place for everything. There's going to come a time and a place where my girls are going to have to make choices and decisions for themselves. So, right now, at the early age that they are, we got a 7, a 6, and a 3-year-old. Like, I'm trying to instill these things in them young and early. So, by the time they get to be 12 and 13, when they're choosing friends and when they're doing all these different things, like, they're going to have my voice in the back of their head, explaining certain things to them about, what's best for them. And I hope that
Right.
happens because I didn't really have that. I had amazing parents growing up and my mom was really always trying to look out for me, but like they they didn't instill certain values in me that I really wish like looking back on I wish they would have because I feel like if they did instill faith in me more, maybe things would be different. I'm not blaming my parents by any means. They did the very best that they could, but I think that's where maybe a lot of parents do go wrong is they start to rely on the system for something. Like I went to a private school my entire life. So my parents, rather than teach me the theology that they grew up with, they allowed the system to do that. Does that make sense?
Right.
So it's almost like the boomers, and I'm not blaming the boomers for everything, but I do think that the boomers got lazy in certain instances and like they almost kind of relied on the government and institutions to start to instill certain values within their children rather than them do it themselves. And I'm not the only
Right.
one that's going to see that. It's interesting. I actually said that to one of my friends the other day, and they're like, wow, you know what? Like, makes a lot of sense because now that I think about that, my parents did the same thing. Like, they sent me to a Catholic school, but they taught me nothing about God. So it's like, I feel like, a lot of the boomers had it easy and they did grow up in those generations where everything was kind of like self-expression and love and they got to party and they lost touch with their traditions and they lost touch with their roots. So when it came time to have their own children, we weren't being rooted in what they were being rooted in as kids. So it's like that's where we started to lose our traditional values. That's where we started to lose a lot of our traditional morals is through that, I believe anyway. I'm on a video. But I'm on a video and I'm done. Like, your father is home now, little one.
They don't ever ask them.
He could very
There you
easily
go.
get you that snack.
I swear. She'll come running in here. Mommy, like,
He's in the
Hannah's in the
office,
living room.
aka the toilet. I swear that's where he like does his best thinkings in the bathroom. It's so funny.
Oh my gosh. I'm one of those weird wives that like to go in there and just talk with him.
Me too. Oh my god, I thought I was weird. I guess I'm not.
I
No,
swear
I
that
will not let him
I
come
swear
in
if I was
on
to
me
call him
though.
in here, he would tell you, like, yup, she has to be in there every time I'm in there too. So we wind up saying bathroom meetings. Like, let's do a bathroom meeting.
Hey Joey, what do you think of this? And like I'll just ask him something. But he's not allowed in the bathroom when I'm in there. Like I will lock the door. He's not allowed to be
I know
anywhere
you look
near
at him
me when
weird
I'm
when he's
doing my
coming on you,
business.
like, why are you in here, man? He's like, dang, like, really? You always sit here?
Yeah, like nah, you're not allowed in with me, but I can come in with you. So funny.
Okay, I'm not the only housewife. That's awesome.
No, I think there's probably many of us, and it's just something we don't talk about. But we
Yeah,
talk about it
yeah.
because we talk
Anybody
about
else
all
that
things
does
here on
that,
this channel.
right? If there's any other housewives that do that as well, you best drop your
Drop it in the
comments.
comments. That's so funny.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. That institutions. Let's talk about that. I like that topic. The institutions.
We did. We all got
Being
institutionalized, girl. Look at us.
yeah, the institutions definitely. We
And
started
think of
to
this too.
rely on the school systems and everything to
Did
educate
you
our
notice
children so we can
too
work.
how like prisons, hospitals, and public schools all look extremely similar?
Oh yes. Did I recently?
Weird.
Did you send me that? There was something that came in. I get sent stuff all the time when somebody was showing me that. I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Like the same lighting, in the cafeterias. It's like the same setup, the same tables, the same chairs. They serve the same foods.
Mm,
For schools, they expect children to sit in their seats 7 hours a day, their entire day, and then they send them home with schoolwork. So they expect kids to be sitting down institutionalized for 7 hours. Like it's all the same thing. It's pretty wild.
right. Yeah. That's another thing. I constantly talk to my daughter about this. She's the youngest that's getting homeschooled. My oldest, that nobody knows, he's grown now, 18, out being an adult. Woo, he did it. But um, my youngest, my little one, I constantly explain to her because she will probably come across a kid that goes to a regular school. She sees the school buses in our area and stuff like that, and she always asks, about the school and you know I remember when she was a little bit younger, she would say, "I can't wait to go to school." I'm like, "You're having school here.
Yeah.
You're having school here." So I sit down and I give her these explanations. I'm like, "Okay, I put in 4 or 5 hours. Most likely four. Four would be like my max because when they're young like that, my daughter's only 7, and they don't really try to constantly, take in information that they're especially new. So I always make it fun and everything like that for her. Documentaries is one of her favorite things. She loves watching them on her own, which is awesome, and reading. But she will always, ask me about school and stuff. And I'll just tell her the truth. I'm like, okay, well, there's other kids that get up, 5 o'clock in the morning, don't come back home until about 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, depending on wherever you're at in
And
the
some
in the
of them stay
country.
at the after school programs until 6 o'clock.
Yeah, gotta stay in after school program. I said the whole time that they're in school too, they have to be taught all different types of subjects. Where I do one subject with you a day, and then you still have your weekends, and you only have 4 hours a day, which means you have all day to play. And I'm like, you're interactive. We're doing projects. We're doing a lot of fun stuff. With regular schools, they literally have you sitting at a desk for like 8 hours, like you're at a job site, and will teach you all the types of stuff that you don't need to know, just so you can go home and try to tell your parents that you know everything and you don't know anything, and then your parents got
It's
to
the
do a
truth
type of
though.
indoctrination as well. And then you grow up and you have to do it again, going to another 4 year school where you're gonna have um you're actually going to not be living with your parents, but you're going to be living on that school, and you have to make sure you get all these credits to do that as well, just to get a job that you're probably going to hate in the future. What I'm teaching you is the basic educations of science, math, history, and reading, language arts. You get a bunch of fun science projects because she's such a geek and we like to blow stuff up in his house. And then you also get to have all of this fun playing. And then you get to be taught home ecs because they took home ec out of school. So you get to learn how to cook, you get to learn how to clean, you get to learn how to do all of these fun things, gardening and everything that we do outside. I was like, so what would you prefer? Would you prefer to be sitting in a classroom for 8 hours where you got to sit at a desk, constantly read and write and memorize all of this stuff? Or the 4 hours I do with you that has been okay, you're excelling in, and you still get to learn your home economics, your gardening, your science projects along with it. And she's like, okay, well, you know what? I think I do want to do the whole thing. It's a lot
Yeah.
different. It's a lot different. I'm like, if you do want to get an experience of it, I'll drop you off at school one day so you can just at least try it. Because with kids, the kids with which you keep them from, they want to see. Which you tell them they want to do. So it's the one thing I think has been working as being a mother is just telling the kids the honest to God truth of why I'm
Mhm.
saying no. Mommy, can I have a cookie? And it's 8 o'clock at night. No. No, you can't have a cookie because if you eat a cookie, you're gonna be up for another hour and a half, and you got 30 minutes before bed, and that sugar's gonna rot your teeth because you don't brush your teeth right after bed. Now, do you? If you brush your teeth, then maybe mom will give you a cookie. But you don't do that, and we don't go to the dentist like that as regulars because we don't do doctor. Everything we're on is on naturalistics,
Mhm.
so natural toothpaste, everything. We're a little weird, but
No, we do things very
natural
similarly over
home
here.
remedies.
I just got into a
So
fight with Miles' doctor actually. Like we have to go to another practice because I told him that we weren't getting her vaccinated for anything.
mhm.
Um and he tried getting me to like sign a specific paper and I'm like, "No. Like you can't
Sign
sit
a
here and
specific
tell me
paper.
I have to vaccinate my child and you can't sit here and tell me I have to sign something because I said no." Like what?
Right.
They have
That.
way too much power within the healthcare
Mhm.
systems and our institutions. Like it's like mind-boggling how much power they really reign.
Yeah, you're
It's
right.
scary. I
It's
don't trust doctors anymore. I don't trust the healthcare system. I don't trust hospitals. Like it's extremely sad that I say that. And I have like healthcare professionals in my family. Like obviously, I'm not saying like the healthcare workers are corrupt. Of course, there are some of them, but I think as a whole, like our healthcare system is 100% corrupt.
oh, yes, especially if you're getting paid to keep a sickness going. I mean, why
Hmm.
would you heal anything?
That's
My
why, with
and
like,
I'm not knocking like surgeons and nurses that actually a lot of us get into those fields because we truly want to help, but the behind the scenes and everything is like, hey, I mean, there's a lot of money in cancer. There's a lot of money, and dentists actually make more.
really,
Yes, I think I read a while ago that dentists, the oral hygienic field actually pays a lot.
huh? I mean, that makes sense
And what's
because
crazy is they're willing to pull your teeth, which costs a lot, and give you all these like instead of actually just showing you better care. We have
right,
all of these chemicals that's in our toothpaste that really don't help benefit your teeth at all. So we're constantly going to the dentist regularly, and they're like, "Oh, cavity, pull it," and stuff like that. When this could have been prevented. They don't want to give us the preventable information
right.
because they won't get paid if you don't need to go there.
And
It's
don't
just
they
it's
say
how
like
it
our
is.
mouth is one of the most important? Like, if this is healthy, then like if our mouths are healthy, then the rest of us will be healthy. Like, I believe I read that somewhere. Like, your mouth is extremely like detrimental to the health of your body in general
Yeah,
because
you
that's
can
what
have.
like what you're putting in your mouth, and like it's
Mhm.
important. Um, but like when you got
Yeah,
good teeth care, because when you have infections in your mouth, it can go anywhere.
yeah, and go to your heart, your lungs. Like
Brain,
it's definitely got to keep your. There's a. I want to get sponsored for that company one day, but there's this patriotic uh package thing that like shelf life foods, medicines, and everything like that. Me and my husband are really into. We order their stuff all the time. They got this home medicine kit, for things that you don't necessarily be able to get out of everything that we usually use. Like we are really big on the garlic and honey and stuff like that for antibiotic and everything. And
hmm,
it's honestly, I have never seen. We barely get sick here, so I think it's been doing a tremendous job. But they also have like where you can order your own medi kits of types of antibiotics and stuff like that that you can have in the house. It's super expensive, but um, it's worth having in your home so that way you don't have to make those trips and pay those bills. You get a one-time fee of having this whole stash of all the medicines that you might usually get from the hospitals that you don't have at home. You don't need to
right,
get a prescription for it now. You can have it in your home. You can tend to your family better instead of paying $3,000 for a darn hospital bill.
right.
So I'm all for those. If you're able to, you know, prevent those types of bills and everything like that, and the amoxicillin and all the stuff that might be needed for things like that, especially oral health. And my husband being pre-diabetic, I'm constantly watching him stuff and making sure he's okay. So like that's one of the reasons why we're on a lot of natural stuff. We changed our whole diet when we had a scare years ago with his heart. And I swear I thought if I lose him, this whole world's gonna burn
Yeah.
because I'm not gonna lose him. So um we switched to a lot of things, and it has been helping. It really has. There's a lot of natural things out here that really helps longevity of our lives, but we are built on convenience. We are so used to the convenience of things and having things just work suddenly, like numbing creams and stuff. And instead of going through real labor, now we can get epidurals, and we just everything needs to go faster, and we don't want pain no more. We want to deal with stuff. So it's like to be in debt to hospitals or in debt to certain bills and willing to pay these high bills or work off, pay them off, so we could just don't have to feel something of our body telling us something's wrong, you know? And
When we
sometimes you
literally,
deal with
and it's crazy too, because like you were just saying, we do. Like people spend thousands upon thousands of dollars on medical bills, but in reality, we have perfectly good holistic um herbs and like plants growing right outside of our house. People don't understand like dandelions. You know how many benefits we get from dandelions, from the flower all the way down to the root. Um, and then there's like certain weeds. And it's interesting because for generations they were telling us that we need to get rid of these weeds. But in reality, it was all medicine growing in our front yards. And so we were told that they were weeds and that they were killing our grass and everything around that was growing in our gardens. And so we're told that we need to get rid of those weeds. They're not weeds, they're actual medicine. My daughter has really bad asthma, and my girlfriend actually just gave me a bunch of dried mullein, and I'm going to make a tincture out of it. It's supposed to be incredible for your lungs. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to make my own tincture, so I can give it to her because I'm sick of resorting to these nebulizer treatments that aren't working for her. Her
right,
albuterol inhalers aren't working for her. So rather than going to more doctors, having to put her under more medications that aren't working for her, I decided to just do some research on this melanin or mullein, and it apparently works tremendously for people with asthma. So she gave me a bunch of stuff like that. And then she
mhm,
gave me like four other different dried plants that I can make tinctures, all for like breathing and respiratory. So like I do believe that there's so much, like God gave us everything that we needed on the earth. Like He gave us everything, down to the medicine, to the food that we eat, to the water that we need. Like to the people, like this entire world. That's why he created Adam last, was because he created everything before Adam, because that was all for Adam.
mhm,
Um, and so like all of these things that grow, we don't think anything of it anymore, but we're so quick to go to
right.
the pharmacy and pick up our pain meds or anything at all. Like now they're saying Tylenol has cancer in it. Like everything's cancerous. So I believe that that was always the point.
Wow, that's crazy. My husband always says he doesn't do Tylenol. Like,
Mhm.
he's not big on medicine. He's been one of the like, big reasons why I started to go. I think when I was pregnant, with our daughter, I started to become one of those psycho moms that read every label, and it was because of starting to him. He used to tell me about certain things. He was like, I'm not big on medicine and stuff like that. The one, if it comes down to, um, him having any type of bug or something like that. And they used to do this in the back in the days too, before all of these other chemicals come into play, was where you take a shot of whiskey if you get rub whiskey on your baby's gums if they were teething, or and he still like there's like a one liquor that he would use that's able to get stomach bugs out of him, and
Mhm.
that's like the only thing he uses outside of anything else. But since he's been on the with the health risks, we've been doing the garlic a lot, and he'll have like a whole clove of garlic one day, chew it up like a raw garlic, and we don't get colds. We don't have to worry about really anything. It could be because me and my, we don't really leave the home as much, and we're not being into contact with people. But it's people's been over here. We've had family gatherings. She's been around other kids, and it just doesn't happen.
No,
So
I think it's really because of your diet and the way that you guys,
mhm.
think about your bodies and what you put into your bodies. Because I mean, my kids are in public school right now, which I don't know. I want to really start looking at homeschool. Like, I'm just for whatever reason, like
I
I
can
was
send
so
you all the sites that I use. There's this
that's my
one that
problem. Is like I think too much of it, and I'm like, well, I still have that mentality. Like I myself still can't break free from like that classroom mentality. And I'm trying to. It's not that I can't break free from it. I'm just afraid that I'm not going to be able to teach them as well as what they would learn in school. Like, I don't know. I guess it's a lot of like this, what is it? Stigmatations on it. There's a stigma on it. And I think that that still kind of floats. Like, I'm just afraid. I don't want to fail my kids' education is really what it like boils down to.
right, and
And
I
I'm
get
very
that because
intelligent. So like I don't know why I even have that fear.
Trust me, I was there in the beginning too as well because when my husband first said it, I was like, I don't even think I'm smart enough to even do that. I haven't been in school in how long now, but
All right.
what I did is just I had to kind of pretty much re-educate myself, and then I learned that English is the hardest language to teach someone. Once you realize this one word can mean four or five different things, and then your child's
Right.
asking you, "Why does red mean red?" When red it says read, and then I'm like, I don't even know anymore. But it has been good. I could see a difference, and everybody's been complimenting me on her as well, and they're like, "How old is she, man? Just doing and everything." And I'm like, I kind of just worked with it. I looked at all different types of sites, all different types of curriculums, and there's a bunch out there. And of course, I'm searching to see what exactly is instilled in certain curriculums that they have. And I found like three that I've been working with right now that I really, really like. That that has is built around a lot of the U.S. history. It has every. It's just it's very patriotic information, and there's one that has some fun in it, some games that she can do. So that way, even when she thinks she's not being taught anything, she is.
Mhm.
So like it first started off difficult. I think when I first, because I started teaching her when she started walking, of course, and she's 7 now, but to where she can just pick up any book and start reading on her own. But at first, man, she had all the questions for me, and I didn't know how to respond. And it is hard at first. It's not an easy task. I don't think um, you definitely have to have the time to do it, um, and the patience as well. Um, so I will highly recommend it. I will highly recommend it. It's something any mother with youngins should do.
Even
And
like
if
if I
they can't
started.
do it, at least find a school that is going to teach everything that you are going to teach. Don't,
Mhm.
that's the only thing, because the institutions are definitely going to take advantage of having the control of your child for that long.
Right.
That nice amount of time they have control over your child, and they have a chance to give their information. That's why the institutions are the way they are now. That's why schools are the way they are now. To where the point that you got teachers telling parents that the children don't belong to you.
Mhm.
These are not your kids. These are our kids. You hand them over to us so y'all can go work. That was the that was the biggest. That was the decision that started a lot, because for mothers to leave home, they need to have their kids be somewhere. And then, oh, here we go. There's public schools to teach the kids. I think let's go
Drop
ahead
them
and
off
just
at
believe
these
we're going to teach
education
them.
camps. I mean schools.
I believe they're going to teach them what we will teach them at home. And now they got full control. And you it's to a point where you can get in trouble if your child's not even in, a
Mhm.
regular school. Now that's put into some type of law. And I think they're even going to crack down on the homeschooling thing soon.
I do too. Like, and they do. They reign so much power. Like even when like the a couple weeks ago, like before break, we were running a little late going into school, so I ended up having to like sign them in, and it says like when you're as you're signing them in, they ask like, why are you running late? It's like, well, I literally wrote none of your business on the thing because it's none of your business why I'm running late. Like, what do you need to know why we're running late for? I was 5 minutes late. Like, why do they have to know why we're running late? Or
Right.
or like when I go in there and I have to take my kid out. Like the one day Ava had a dentist appointment, so I had to go in at 12, and they're asking why are you taking your kid out early? Well, what's it matter to you? It's my kid. If I want to take her out early, I don't have to give you a reason why. It's my daughter and I'm taking her out early. Like, and if they know that I'm her mother, then there really shouldn't be any like question as to why I'm doing what I'm doing with my child.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then they got the nerve to question you too when your child's in school. Oh, there's got to be something going on with the home because the child just won't listen to me. So let's call in a parent teacher meeting and then have the parents come here and we can tell them how bad they're parenting their child here that we have for 8 hours out of the day.
Right.
That's all what parents, that's all they do. Yeah, well, your child,
And it
we're
is
trying to figure out what's going on in your home because your child just seems to not really be doing what, it's necessary for us,
right.
and it's just like,
Or how about like your kid is being loud and obnoxious because we're expecting them to sit in a seat for 7 hours a day. So we're gonna slap some medication on you at 7. Like that's what they do. It's crazy. I need to get my kids out. Now, Cora, my middle child, she's in first grade. She's actually been asking me to homeschool her like all year so far. Because I mentioned it to her last year. I mentioned homeschooling and I asked her if it was something that she would be interested in because I could just tell the kind of personality that she is. Like I don't think she's going to benefit well from public school by any means. I really do think that she would thrive in homeschool. So I really want to look into some kind of curriculums for next year because she herself even wants to be homeschooled.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and like I told her it's gonna be different. I'm like, listen, it's not gonna be what you think it is. Like you're not gonna be just chilling at home all day. Like we're gonna be active and we're gonna be doing things. Not
You
gonna
gotta have a schedule.
yeah, like it's called homeschool for a reason, sweetie. Like we're gonna still be learning and doing things. It's just gonna be different. And then Mila, she's not vaccinated at all, so she's not even gonna be allowed in any schools. So I'm gonna have to homeschool her. So I don't really have a choice with
Right,
Mila.
right.
I
I swear,
wish,
I don't know.
I wish I could go back in time and not get any of my kids back, like any of their vaccines, but like I just wasn't awakened to the extent of what I am now. And yeah, so we didn't get Mila vaccinated, but I wish that I could go back and make it to where I didn't get any of them with any kind of vaccine. I don't trust any of them.
Hey, that was the main decision. That was the main decision. And it's crazy because we actually lost some friends over that decision as well.
Mm,
So much so that we weren't allowed to come over no more because of
really?
that. Once they found out, yeah, it's crazy on how much people stand behind, willing to follow health, uh, these health
Regulations.
regulations, exactly, thank you, over their own choice and their own families, and then they
For
have to
their
learn that
children,
you're the
yeah.
crazy one. Like, you don't follow the rules there that's supposed you're supposed to you're supposed it's just like the whole mask thing,
Yeah.
like, there's people still wearing them. I go to a grocery store and I'm like, "Come on," like, this
I still see people driving in their cars with their masks on. Like, what are you doing? Rip it off. I literally, when I'm in a red light and I look over and I'm just minding my own business and I'm joyful and I'm jamming in my music and I look over and I see someone with a mask on, I literally just want to pull it and just, like,
napkins.
get it off your face.
Oh gosh, you're hilarious.
It's killing you. It is. It's making you sicker, you stupid. Oh, sorry. It's late. I'm getting
Yeah.
delirious.
I know. I already it's already 10 too and stuff. So I'm like, oh man. But I really enjoyed this because this was just straight up our first. This was a New Year discussion. This was
Yeah, this
everything that
is
we
just
just wanted to
kind of
talk
us getting back
about.
into our zone together. We didn't speak much over break because we were so freaking caught up in our family. So, which is a beautiful thing. But I missed you, of course. So I'm glad we
Oh
got to
man, I
come
miss
here
you too.
tonight and just. I think that our minds together, like, I don't know, I value our friendship so much. So I'm gonna let the podcast hear this too, okay, people? Because it's
Heck
very
yeah.
rare to have someone in your life who you just have such commonalities with. And Lo and I
Right.
really like, I don't think there's really anything that, like, I'm sure there's probably minor things that like we disagree on, but when it comes to like all of the fundamental, things that we speak here on this channel, like we pretty much just believe in all the same things.
Yeah. We'll probably get to one where there might be something that like I think I know one thing. You said that you feel sorry for the women that selling their bodies. I don't. that, that I know that
Yeah.
for sure. I don't because the information, this is going to be my slogan, I swear, but the information is out here now. Y'all are hearing it all over. We got the Manosphere, YouTube, Instagram. Everybody's letting y'all know exactly what the outcome of that lifestyle would be. If y'all don't get it now, you never will. And I won't feel sorry for you with the outcome
No,
that
you
you
got a
wind up
point.
in. That's where I'm at with them because there's a very decent channels out here that are informing you. And this is the first time. This is not the first time stuff's documented, but this since the internet has came out, this will be the first that we have visualized documentation where we can actually have valid proof of how history is. Centuries from now, these videos are going to be all over the place. And uh, people are actually going to start to see what caused calamity instead of just having to go to the scrolls or the books where stories were left out. They're visually going to be able to see
It's
what
true.
took place when calamity hits, what happened to America. We got so much videos on it now. We
Can
got
you
so
imagine
we
what they're gonna
actually
see? Oh gosh. Poor America in like 50, 60 to 160 years from now. There's like, what were these freaking whack jobs doing?
right. They're gonna be like, okay, we know what not to do now.
Yeah, they're like, I've seen enough.
And
Five
I don't
minutes
want to
into
keep
the video.
right. But I don't want to keep you too long. I know it's getting late, and I think my family fell asleep on me. But
Oh, I know, I
this
think about
was
mine.
such an enjoyment. Any I would like to at least try to get us to do a video every day, but I'm going to work according to your schedule. You already have my schedule. So if you don't have a day, just be like, hey, let's do, you said, oh yeah, you already met the date. So it looks like Tuesdays and Thursdays will probably be the primary days. If we have any extra time, we can always jump on one, but
Yeah,
we'll try
because
to get.
initially I was thinking Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, but I'm like, you know what? That's 3 days out of the week. I don't want to start off too crazy. I don't want to commit to like 3 days out of the week, and like turns out I can only commit to two. So I'm like, you know what? It's Tuesday already. Let's just go with Tuesdays and Thursdays. That way,
Mhm.
I think that even if we do, because there's obviously probably going to come up every once in a while, we might get a little stumped on what to come out with. At least if we do, we're still going to have all this content being pumped out twice a week, so like we're
Right.
constantly going to be uploading, because it's going to take us a little bit to do the edits and stuff, so we're going to just be constantly dishing out video after video. If
Mhm.
we at least keep it to structure to like at least a day or two a week.
Right. Yeah. There might be a lot more raw videos going up. That way they could just hear to feel the full personalities of us. There's a lot that
Yeah.
we've said today that they can have a good idea of who we are now. And this I might just put this whole video up. If I hope y'all all watch 1 hour 40 minutes of this video as well, because I'm putting this whole
Yeah. Well,
first
too, we don't even I'm sorry, I don't mean to keep like speaking over you. We don't even really need to do that many edits though, because the only time we ever really needed to do edits was during the day when I was getting a million interruptions from Mila. So now that my kids aren't popping in every 2 seconds, like we were kind of just steadily rolling the whole night. Um, and you're right, like it gives people a taste of like who we really are. I don't want people to come on and just like look at us, be like, oh, it's just another like, you
yeah,
know,
hear us chatting and
yeah, it's
be
just another conservative talking about what they think. Like, no, I want people to know who I am. Like, I got a personality, you have a personality. We could be goofy, we could be funny. There's times where we're extremely serious. There's times where we get angry. There's times where we laugh.
yes.
Like, this
Mhm.
is who we are, and we just feel like the world should see it.
Right. All right. Yay, this was awesome. I hope everybody enjoyed this one. We will be back, I guess, Thursday. We can do
Yes,
Thursday
we
night as
will.
well. It looks like.
Thursday. Can't
All
wait.
right. So make sure y'all all like, share, comment, and subscribe to the Lower Pod. Again, this is Lessons of a Housewife. You can also follow my other YouTube, Lessons of a Housewife, a YouTube channel connected to this. And then you got Christina McGavin, who is my co-host, the Enlightened Housewife, who also has her own content. Drop it one more time, Christina, for that.
Keep your foot on the gas podcast. That's what it's called. It's over on Facebook though, you guys. So if anyone's on Facebook and you are in recovery or sobriety and you'd like to listen to stuff about that, go check us out. It's me and my husband. So yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, y'all all have a good night and have a good night, Christina. Thanks for
All right,
tuning in
well,
again.
I'll message you tomorrow.
Yes.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
All right. And we're out.
Bye.